I want to talk about director's cuts, unrated cuts, special editions. It seems that if a film company knows that there is a substantial fan base out there, that it can release a number of different cuts of a film that we all love and we will absolutely lap it up. Now, I think sometimes this can be a double edged sword. And what I mean by that is that it's dangerous. Now, what I mean by that is that was a terrible joke. I'm sorry. I'm really tired. It's 1:15 in the morning. What I mean by that is that you get some instances where a director gets to go back and re-edit a film because the cut that they originally put out was, for whatever reason, not the cut that they wanted to put out. Perhaps there were producers breathing down their neck and trying to put in different things. Perhaps they had budgetary problems, or they had time problems. You know, they didn't have enough time to edit the film to the standard that they wanted. And I think that in those circumstances, it's always interesting to see a director go back and re-edit. You know, like Blade Runner. There's like so many versions of Blade Runner. It's ridiculous. And but it's interesting to see Ridley Scott going back and actually getting to do his final cut and edit it properly. And I think it does improve the film. As much as I really like the original theatrical cut of Blade Runner. You know, I do think the final cut is probably the best cut of the film. There were things in that movie that were put in against Ridley Scott's will, even though he sort of says now, oh, there wasn't a problem. But, you know, you do get the feeling nobody really wanted the voiceover. Nobody wanted the really happy ending. Um, so that's an instance where it worked. It was good to see a director go back and do that. And we all get given something great. And the fact remains that the theatrical version is still there, and this is very important. The theatrical version is still going to be there for fans to buy, but the director's cut or special edition is still going to be there as well, so that you can choose what you watch, which I think is fine. But then you get a situation like George Lucas, and I said a situation rather than a man. You get a situation like George Lucas where, you know, now don't get me wrong, I grew up loving the films that George Lucas was attached to. Obviously, the original Star Wars trilogy, just, you know, part of a staple diet for any kid my age. And I absolutely love Star Wars, right? All the toys, everything. Obviously, I also loved Indiana Jones. Fantastic. George Lucas was a big part of that. Came up with the initial idea. I even go back and I like films like American Graffiti. Um, I I like THX. I like, you know, some other films he's involved with. You know, I like Ed the Duck. I keep saying Ed the Duck. That was like a puppet from Britain. I like Howard the Duck. You know, I'm sorry, it's so crazy and stupid that, you know, I like that film. And I also really like Willow. I think that it was good fun. You know, so like a lot of the films that George Lucas was connected with, I really really enjoy. However, he keeps going back and editing the Star Wars films. Now, I remember when the special editions came out. When the special editions came out, I think it was 1997. It was like a really big thing. It was. I remember sitting in the cinema watching something else, and the advert, the trailer came on, and it was like a television on the cinema screen, and it just said, you know, most people are used to seeing Star Wars like this, and then, you know, the the spaceship would come in, and, you know, Star Destroyer would come in, and just it was awesome. It was amazing to see it like that, and it was great to then go and watch each of those films be released. And there were new things in there, and that was really exciting as a fan. As times went on, he's edited the films again and again. he's added special effects, he's added deleted scenes, which, okay, fair enough. You made the film. Well, you made the first film, this is a good point. Fair enough, you tinker with that. But when he tinkers with Empire Strikes Back and he tinkers with Return of the Jedi, he's tinkering with other people's work. That's the thing that kind of gets me with that. Especially when you look at Empire Strikes Back, because it's just one of the best films ever made. You know, don't touch it. So, I enjoyed initially watching the new versions when I was a kid, when I was younger. It was exciting for me. But now he just keeps he's made changes again. A lot of people have been talking about them. He's went back for the Blu-ray release and he's, you know, changed the noise that Obi-Wan Kenobi makes when he's scaring away the sand people, and he's put in Darth Vader shouting no at the end of Return of the Jedi. Oh, and it's just, you know, it beggars belief, but the fact remains is that he does not want the theatrical versions to be out there. He doesn't want the theatrical versions to be in existence because he thinks the versions he keeps putting out are better. Now, I much prefer Ridley Scott's approach, especially if you look at Ridley Scott's approach to, excuse me, still got a bit of a cold. If you look at Ridley Scott's approach in re-editing Alien, one of my favourite films of all time, absolute masterpiece. And he went back and he re-edited it. But what he said about it was, look, this is me as a more experienced filmmaker going back, looking at a film I made years ago and saying, you know, I'd like to try something different. Maybe try this take. I'll maybe put in this little scene. I'll tinker with it, shave little bits off. Because I actually think the director's cut's shorter than the original theatrical version. But what he's always said, what Ridley Scott has always said, is he said, look, this is me just tinkering and doing this. It's nice to do it, but you still have the original version, and I was delighted with that version when I put the film originally out. And it's just such a shame that George Lucas doesn't do the same with the Star Wars movies. It's such a shame that he keeps going back and tinkering with them and won't leave the theatrical versions, the versions that we all really, really love, out there for us. I mean, he released, you know, bullshit versions of them, basically, that, I don't even want to get into it, right? But he won't release, like, sort of proper remastered versions of them. I still have my remastered Star Wars, sorry, thought I saw someone at a window there. That's rather frightening. I still have, like, my Star Wars remastered VHSs, and, you know, I'll keep them because, you know, I don't know if we're ever going to get, like, the theatrical remaster. I'm sure we will eventually. Maybe when George's went to the giant Death Star in the sky. I don't know. But it's something that just sort of bugs me when people go back and they re-edit things. And one of the funniest ones is people going back and, like, re-editing, like, Highlander 2. I would actually love to go and watch the director's cut of that because Highlander 2 is such a crazy film that makes absolutely no sense in the context of the original movie, that I would love to see how people have somehow tried to, you know, fix it. I don't know how you could fix a film like that. I was always interested to see Joel Schumacher because he had said that he had an alternative version of Batman Forever, which he said was much better. There was a whole sort of subplot that he'd taken out of the film, and he says it's a bit darker and it's a bit more toned down, and, you know, I would like to have seen that version of that film. There's nothing he can do to fix Batman and Robin other than bury it under 1,000 feet of concrete and steel. But I would have been interested to have seen that. So I don't have a problem when the film is being re-edited from an artistic point of view, like Ridley Scott has done. I don't have a problem with that. I do have a problem when people try to make a film replace a previous version. I've got a problem with that, like George Lucas has done with Star Wars. But my biggest problem is the different versions that it seems like studios put out, which are really pointless versions. You know, versions with like a couple of minutes of really unnecessary footage added in simply so that uh, simply so that they can make money. You know, they can get the fans to watch the films. You know, and that really grates on me. You get like unrated versions of films, which sometimes is cool. You know, sometimes it's like, yeah, this film should originally have been unrated, or should have had, you know, been more of an explicit movie. But then there are times when you think this is pointless. You know, absolutely pointless. It doesn't add anything to the film. So I guess, you know, I don't really have much more to say about it. I just feel like, you know, yeah, if you're going to re-edit a film, go back, re-edit it. That's fine. Do what Ridley Scott did. Even James Cameron, who did the special edition of Aliens, which interestingly isn't called the director's cut, but it is a director's cut. You know, it adds in, I think, something like, was it 22 minutes of footage into Aliens. And while a lot of people really feel that the special edition is actually superior to the theatrical cut's still there. When you buy like Aliens, you get the theatrical cut and you get the special edition. So that's the way to do it, you know. Don't do a George Lucas, and I'm actually terrified that he'll go back and want to do it to the Indiana Jones films, although they are Spielberg movies, not Lucas films. So I'm really hoping that he won't go back, but it's only a matter of time before he goes back. And I mean, I know he's already altered the Star Wars prequels to a degree, but it's only a matter of time before he goes back and alters them more and more. I know the only one that I would be really interested in seeing maybe a different version of is Revenge of the Sith, which I think is the only half decent one out of the three. And that would simply be because I know that there was like apparently like a 4 or 5 hour cut of that film. There was like a whole bunch of other stuff that went on during that uprising, and you know, I don't know. I'd be interested to see it. I'm not saying I would think it'd be any good, but I would be interested to see it. Apparently, like Count Dooku, Christopher Lee's character had like a bigger part in the film, and you know that sort of stuff. So I'd be interested to see that. But again, give it to the fans as a present. You know, I mean, sometimes people do like director's cuts, and they'll say, you know, or they'll do special editions or different cuts, and they'll say, this isn't better than the theatrical. The theatrical is the movie. Watch that. But this is a little gift to the fans, you know, with some alternate stuff on it that, from an artistic point of view, is interesting, but not just a cash in. Obviously, companies need to make money, but if your prime goal is just to, you know, throw in, yeah, do we have like 50 seconds of new footage? Yeah, put it in, you know. It's nonsense. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say. It's now 27 minutes past 1, and I'm really tired, so I'm going to go to bed. Oh, some housekeeping issues, which I should say. The Fright Night review series has been cancelled. Well, it's not been cancelled, it's been postponed once again because this cold came back with a vengeance again last couple of days. Been really ill, feeling okay now, but I was really ill again, so just not being able to do like the videos that I wanted to do, and really all my time that I've got to make videos for this channel really will be getting 31 Horrors of Mike ready for Halloween. But I may be able to do the Fright Night reviews over Halloween, which would be quite cool, you know. It's kind of got that sort of feel to it. And actually, on the note of Fright Night, I got my first Fright Night comic through the post today. Now, I know I'm not supposed to be buying anything other than stuff for my film, but I ordered this, or I bid for it ages ago, and I won it, and it got sent out to me. And there were 22 of these made back in 1988 after Fright Night Part 2, I think. And it's 22 standalone comics taking the characters from Fright Night and like different stories about them. So I'm really looking forward to reading that, and you know, because I love the Fright Night movies. Oh, spoiler for what I actually think about them. and love those characters. So yeah, and also, since there's 22 comics of this, it's not really out of the realms of possibility to collect an entire set of them, which is what I will be doing once I've got everything for my film. And try to think what else there was to do with the channel. That's probably it. As far as gas going, it's still going. It's just a bit of a setback with illness and stuff like that. But fingers crossed, everything will be fine. My girlfriend's just had her tonsils out, so I need to go over now and see her at the weekend and help look after her. And then I will be back next week. And more videos then. I may get a chance to record a video before I go tomorrow, but we'll see. If you don't, I hope you all have a great weekend, because remember, you're all awesome. Every single one of you. Every 235 subscribers. So happy with that. You guys are amazing. And if you've watched all of this nonsense, you're more crazy than I.